Texas, their over-under win total is set to 10.5. That's what Vegas thinks. What do we think when it comes to their record prediction in 2024? We'll break it down right now, but if you're a Texas Longhorn fan, welcome home. Like, we talk college football every single day on this show. Why? One, because they pay us, which is still ridiculous. I mean, we would do it for free. Do not tell them that. Do not tell them that. Make sure you're subscribed right here because it's college football every single day. Talk a lot about Texas. Talk a lot about every single other team in college football. Just make sure you're locked in. We appreciate y'all for that. As I was saying, over-under win total, 10.5 for Texas. The thing you heard a lot last year is, man, Texas is back. Texas is this. Texas is that. And I've held for a long time, even before last season, we were saying back versus not back, like, that's for the clicks crowd. Like, that's for the thumbnail crowd, and that's all good. We respect that. We appreciate that. However, though, what I would say around Texas, instead of back versus not back, I would say Texas, under Steve Sarkisian, has arrived. And he said it on a podcast going into last year. Steve Sarkisian was like, yeah, this looks like my team. They practice like my team. Physically, they look like my team. This is now a Texas, not just his team. This is a Texas program. Not program. The quarterback play with Quinn Ewers, I think, was indicative of what Steve Sarkisian wants to have. Also, the quarterback depth. Behind Quinn Ewers, you got Arch Manning. First world problems. They have talent at the skill. Not just the guys they had last year. That was obvious. But look at how they've attracted skill. Like, Steve Sarkisian lost 2 NFL wide receivers, 3, I guess you count Jordan Whittington, which I think you should. And then they went out and got Isaiah Bond. Went out and got Silas Bolden. Got Amari Niblack, a tight end from Alabama. Like, they got, like, real deal, high-level ingredients to add into that wide receiver room for the skill players. Line of scrimmage, I believe, resembles what you want it to. If you're Steve Sarkisian up front, I know you lost Byron Murphy and T'Vondre Sweat, but I have to believe that I think that cupboard is a little bit more stocked than maybe folks would like to give credit for out there in Austin. They're going to be fine. Up front, offensively, they'll be fine as well. Now, you lose C.J. Baxter. That hurts. I mean, I hate every single part of that for not just C.J. Baxter, but the Texas fan base as well. Like, you just hate that. One of the ugly parts about college football. However, I do think that Steve Sarkisian is skilled enough and is a good enough coach to be able to utilize the guys that are still healthy in that room. Jaden Blue, obviously, will be the guy that they look to, I think, most notably with C.J. Baxter down. Now, here's the other thing. You can talk about the roster. And to be real now, any coach can flip a roster. And I say any coach with good resources can flip a roster, right? It's kind of where we live right now in modern college football. It's a lot harder to flip a roster and then have good culture to go with it. And I think the culture at Texas is something that was always talked about as like the negative and why they would never achieve their goals of winning the conference and all that. But like, I think the culture now at Texas is new Texas. And we saw that multiple times last year. I mean, I pointed to the time when Quinn Ewers went down and how they responded and how they found different ways to win games in different spots. I mean, the letdown after Oklahoma, bounce back, go win some football games. The big win after Alabama, stay level-headed, take care of business the next week. So that's one part of it. But I think even more specifically, we talked to Jahdae Barron at SEC Media Days, and you would sort of expect a little more of a, when talking to someone who just, won the conference and made the college football playoff, maybe a more satisfied tone, maybe a little more of a, yeah, we're happy we did that last year. We're looking forward to next year. We feel good about where we're at. Like, it was a very, dare I say, aggressive tone from Jahdae Barron. Like, they were disappointed in what they didn't accomplish last year. Like, they are a hungry outfit out there in Austin. And I would love that if I'm the head coach at Texas. Like, that would fire me up if I'm a fan at Texas. The Texas culture now is very different than we've seen in years past out there. I'll leave it at that. So when we do these record predictions, y'all know us, man, we go game by game. It's August. We're calling our shot. We make no apologies for it. If we're wrong when we look back in November, hey, I mean, it is what it is. More information, change the opinion. But as we sit here in August, we stand on business. Let's go game by game here. Colorado State, that's a dub. At Michigan, second game of the year. Bring your hard hat and lunch pail. It's gonna be a physical one. Say what you want about who Michigan lost last year and who's not back and no more Jim Harbaugh. It's going to be the same old Michigan. Like, it's going to be the exact same formula. I think this is a dogfight. I think the trenches of Texas get tested. but I think the firepower of Texas and the poise of Quinn Ewers is too much for Michigan on that day. I think they pull away and they win that football game. Think about this, though. The confidence builder that a win against the defending national champions in week 2 would be. We looked at that game against Alabama in week 2 for Texas, and it ultimately, I believe, was like the rocket fuel for them on their season. Like, that was the moment where, and we were on the field after the game, like watching Texas celebrate with their fans and with each other as a team, and like you could tell there was so much like, okay, not that we're back, not that we've arrived, all that, but like okay, we can do this. Like, it's one thing to be so close the year before when they came to you in Austin, when Alabama did with Bryce Young and co., and he just put on Superman's cape. I think it's a similar vibe when they go to Michigan and win that game. So they beat Michigan. They're 2-0. You beat UTSA. You beat the Warhawks of ULM. You got your first SEC game against Mississippi State. You win that game. You get a bye now before Red River with Oklahoma. I think having the bye the week before makes the difference. I also just think when you look at Oklahoma, like, this is a game, and should's a funny word to use. This is a game Texas should win. Oklahoma's breaking in a new QB, new offensive line. The defense for Oklahoma is going to be really freaking good, but I think that Texas, from a talent level, and again, going back to Quinn Ewers, from a poise level, will be good enough to win that football game. I think it'll be a tough one. I think it's going to be emotionally and physically draining, but I do think they win that football game. And then as the SEC, you know, the gauntlet that it is, man, you turn right around, no rest, you go play Georgia. Now you get Georgia at home, which is nice, but you get Georgia. And I just think that turning around after the Oklahoma game, with the way that that'll be so draining, as I just mentioned, I think they actually end up losing that game to Georgia. No shade, Georgia's probably the best team in America. I think you'd lose that game. You beat Vandy, at Vandy now. Go to Nashville, but I think you win that game. You play Florida. That's going to be a scrappy one. It'll be back and forth, I believe. I think Florida will show up for that one, but I do think you win that football game as well. You go to Arkansas. Now, Arkansas, a little bit of rivalry juice. Taylon Green's a very talented quarterback for them. We'll see where things are at out there in Fayetteville at that part of the year, but I do think you win that football game. Now, Kentucky. This is a tricky one. I think you lose to Kentucky. And the reason why is I think they're going to be a very physical outfit. I think Brock Vandagriff and that receiving core out there with Dane Key and Barry and Brown, like, they have some real explosivity. They're going to be able to push you. That paired with the fact that you go to A&M the next week, I think Texas is mature, but I do think there's a look-ahead spot here, and I think Kentucky actually gets the best of you. Now, the good news is if you're a Texas fan, I think that loss kind of snaps you back a little bit. I think it kind of creates some clarity for your football team. You go to A&M, win that game. It's personal. The rivalry's back. Like, I mean, everyone's, I'm sure, talking trash the week up. I mean, it's going to be essentially, if you're 9-2 heading into that game, that's for a playoff spot. Texas beats A&M in College Station, and the vibes are high as Texas is going to the college football playoff. I think they missed the SEC title game. My question would be for you, if you're a Texas fan, would you rather be 11-1, set to go run it back with Georgia? And, I mean, let's face it, like, you play another game against a really good roster, and maybe, you know, it's a little bit of a physical demand on your team. It's another emotional draining game. Or would you rather have all that time now to rest, reset, get ready for a first-round playoff game that could potentially be in Austin if you're 10-2? I'm just saying. I think that either way you're in good shape there. But, again, I think they're 10-2. I think they make the playoff. And this kind of a record, this kind of a game, I guess the game against A&M, but this kind of a season, first year in the SEC, this should validate everything that Steve Sarkisian and that team did last season. What Steve Sarkisian has built at that point, I don't think should be or can be questioned if they do that their first year in the conference. So we got Texas at 10-2 with their ticket punch to the college football playoff. Hey y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.